Hello, my name is Bertram Verhaag. I'm situated in Munich in Germany, making documentary films for more than 30 years already. And our subjects are only environmental and political. So it was always very hard to get the financing for these films and these subjects. We made films about the reprocessing plant in Wackersdorf, the nuclear reprocessing plant in Wackersdorf, which is situated 1.5 hours away from Munich. And so we thought we should accompany this building for 10 years, as it was planned to be built. And then we took over several other subjects like racism, and then I came to I started to make my first film on genetic engineering, and I didn't know that I would make 10 films on this. And because it is very hard to be occupied for 10 or 15 years with such a dark energy, we also decided to make films on sustainable agriculture. So in the last 20 years, we made 10 films on genetic or against genetic engineering and 10 films on sustainable agriculture. What I can show you now is 9 minutes of my newest film, which will come to the cinemas on the 18th of May in Germany. And we have a look at the pictures and then we can speak about it.
I grew up right here. I've actually worked here for 35 years, but my grandfather was here on this farm when I was 5 years old. My grandfather was the cattleman here. Am I scared of GMO crops? No. Will they cause cancer? I don't know. And some people they might, and some people they may not. But I'm not scared of them. I mean, I eat genetically modified sweet corn. I grew it. I eat it. I love it.
What I'm doing now, I'm driving down the road with a film crew in the truck doing a documentary on weed resistance and pig weeds. And I'm going to go show them a soybean field here in a minute. Now, on your left, you'll see a soybean field that has a lot of pig weeds in it. See all these weeds here? And there's no crop. This is the soybean crop that should be all the way across, but with the big competition of these weeds, your crop is not there, and you can see the bare ground. There's no yield there. They've competed for the moisture, the nutrients, the sunlight, and everything, and the crop has been shaded out. It's because they grow so fast.
In so many parts of the world now, the agricultural weeds, which are sprayed with Roundup, have become resistant. The farmers they're stuck. They're using this modern agricultural method, and the chemical spray they're using to kill the industrial weeds isn't working, and you've got super weeds which are damaging their crops.
4 or 5 years ago, we had been hearing about the Roundup or glyphosate resistant pigweed or water hemp. Then all of a sudden we had some pigweed show up in our fields that we have routinely been able to control. We sprayed, and up until that point, we've always gotten good control. Well, then all of a sudden, just like cutting on a light switch, we did not control them with our recommended herbicides.
We could see that when we were getting rain, the soil was very hard and the water was not retained, it was flowing away. So this was clearly visible to us. So the whole structure of the soil had completely changed with years of using agrochemicals. So we decided in 1991 with one part to start organic farming. And then we could see the change happening. It was not only the change in the soil, but also in the environment. We had more insects, we had many more birds, we had small animals. The whole culture of the farm started changing. So all these different creatures, living beings, they all work together for the same direction and act as soldiers to help solve the problems of farming.
Wenn Sie jetzt die Wüste sehen,
if you have a look at the desert now, it consists of rock and sand.
kann man aus diesem hier
How can that be turned into fertile land?
Wenn man genauer hinsieht,
If you take a closer look with a microscope, you'll see that there are living organisms here. And I've learned that these microorganisms in the ground can be activated.
aktivieren kann.
Diese Vision meines Vaters in
My
200
father's
Jahren
vision of an Egypt 200 years from now, one where biodynamic agriculture is widely established, one where we have this new, healthy kind of agriculture for our future, and one where people live healthily, provide for themselves in a healthy manner, and live in healthy communities, that vision is behind everything we do.
Das biologisch-dynamische Prinzip
The principle of biodynamic farming is based on the symbiosis of all living organisms in or on the surface of the soil.
gibt auch als Pflanze
The plants, the insects, the birds, all the way up to the constellations of stars.
Sternenkonstellationen.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you have a cell phone in your pocket?
Yes.
It's an iPhone too, isn't it, right? You know, aren't there studies that say that this iPhone up against my ear causes brain cancer? Yeah. Don't you have a microwave in your house? You have one in your hotel room? There are studies that show that the microwaves are bad for us. The fuel emissions coming out of that tractor, they're bad for us. I'm not trying to be naive. There's got to be a line in there that we've got to learn where the line is and live with the line.
It's not normal to have 1 out of 83 children with autism. In 1970, it was 1 out of 10,000.
When we did the first GMO, non-GMO comparison for the seed company, we offered some of the GMO grain to a couple cows versus the non-GMO. They consumed the non-GMO, smelled the GMO, and walked away from it. When you give them the choice, if you don't force them to consume the GMO to survive, they will not consume the GMO. The animals, I believe, are smarter than the scientists that are developing the GMOs.
Eber sind gute Väter.
And the males are really good fathers, I have to say. They generally always make sure no piglet gets hurt during feeding. The people come here and they'll see that the animals are happy and that the meat tastes good. If I see that the people are happy, it makes me happy too. Happiness goes the full cycle.
Eigentlich sollte man sich den besten
You
Anzug
should really wear your best suit when you go out onto the
Man
field,
muss Ehrfurcht vor dem Boden haben, denn ist unser
because you should pay respect to the soil as our source of life. If these thousands or millions or billions of microorganisms stop working for us, what are we going to live from?
Thank you. As I said, I made 9 films against genetic engineering, and I was always always only telling about genetic engineering. And I saw that the viewers were often very anxious that these companies, they do what they want. And so I decided to make the 10th film on both sides. So I confronted, as I said here, the end of genetic engineering to 3 models of, or really existing models of sustainable agriculture. So if you have any questions.
In Switzerland we have how do you say a moratorium for genetic engineered plants or food, and it has been prolonged now for another 2 years. 4 years, okay, it's even better. But I'm afraid that when these 4 years are over, you know, the scientists, they push. They say, if you don't do any research, we are at the end of the line, you know. Do you have any connections to Switzerland that we could prepare our government and our parliament not to...
Yes, we try to show this film also in Switzerland, but it's a terrible situation because we are not allowed also in Germany to grow genetic engineered plants. But they come to us with the soybeans from Argentina, which were fed to our animals, and we take it with the meat into our body.
Hello, I'm from Dorset in the south of the UK, and in Dorset we have a very strong anti-GM group that have been very effective campaigns, supermarkets dressed as cows, trashing crops that are experimentation crops. There's an event coming up on the 23rd of April. I just wondered, how can we get hold of your film to show on that event? Is that possible? It would be very effective.
Sure, we can be in contact. All films are available, most of them also in English. But if you are from the UK, I can tell you that I made a film, The Farmer and His Prince, on the organic farm of Prince Charles. And we did this shooting over a time of 5 years, and he was very helpful and willing to answer all our questions. It was a great work. But then at the end, the press office of the royal household forbid to show this film in England. I can provide you with a DVD, and I don't know what you do with it, but yeah.
We are very worried that at the moment our government wants to have a good trade deal with America, and we're worried that we'll have GM forced on us, and now's the time to be very active. So now's the time when a film by you would be most effective.
Yeah, we speak about it.
So one last question.
A rather naive one. I get confused by the different claims. I know some people who are very deeply into organic agriculture and who think that GMO is just great. Why? Because it seems to me, I may be wrong, but I'd like to hear from you, that the big seed companies that have been researching this and pushing this, they very conveniently for them label everything GMO that is not wild, as it were. So they're saying, well, selective breeding is also GMO, and we've been doing it for thousands of years. And they're saying, and right the way up to transgene species, they just call everything GMO, and I get really confused about this. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, a lot of thoughts. I think the first thing you mentioned, that this guy in the beginning of the film was saying he likes it, and so he is a farmer, he's growing it, and he doesn't see another possibility for himself. And it's really astonishing. If you hear him talking, you think he has a really connection to the earth, and he wants to a conservation of this, and then he said, oh, I grow it, I like it, and I eat it. But he is also asking me, do you have an iPhone? Do you have this and this and this? These are other very, very big problems in our society. The second question, I think it's not right that they label everything as GMO. It's now differentiated very good, and if they want to import it to Europe, it's looked at, and there's only one place in Spain where they cultivate this, really. But in the beginning, there was a mixture, let's say 15 years ago. And if a farmer here went to his seed seller, he said, no, I don't have I only have this, you have to buy this. There were different methods to betray or to persuade farmers to buy it and to cultivate it.
But that has improved.
Sorry?
But that has improved, is what you're saying.
Yes, sure, because our films were very sharply looked at by Monsanto, and they didn't find anything. What I have here is some papers from the films that I made during the last 30 years. Here some on Prince Charles. And then I only have 3 DVDs, but it's only in German, which contains 30 different parts of 30 films, which were collected here together. It's on the different subjects. And yeah, we made meanwhile 10 films against genetic engineering and 10 films for good, sustainable agriculture. But if there's somebody who wants more of this, I can bring it tomorrow from the hotel. I was not very good prepared. Okay. Thank you very much.